Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video I'm going to do a review on this Ozito Cordless Line Trimmer kit. It is model PXLTK-4028 and it cost $169 from Bunnings. With the line trimmer comes a 4 amp hour battery and compact fast charger. There's no soft plastic packaging, it's all paper and cardboard, which is nice to see, so it's all easily recyclable. In terms of the unit, it just looks like I need to flip the handle up, attach this guard. I've seen other reviews and comments that say this gets in the way. You can't actually get kind of close enough to the edge, so I probably will just slide that out. It looks like it just slides out. This is the battery and the charger. I'll leave these untouched. I've already got my own, so in case this ends up being a piece of crap and I have to return it, these can go straight back in without any cleaning or anything like that required first. So I've just tried to be careful with the packaging so that if it does need to go back, I can easily restore it as close as possible to new condition before I do. So I'll just attach this guard and we'll give it a test run. One thing that's a little unusual about this line trimmer is that there's only one line that exits the spool. Traditionally you would have two, so that raises, and I knew this before I bought it because there was a demo unit there, but I just thought that could raise some question marks about how effective it will be. This is a 1.6mm line, which is very thin. I do have some heavier duty line in the shed, but we'll test it as it comes, and then if it's not really getting through the grass, and I'm not going to go light on this thing, I'm going to cut through the grass as I would my petrol line trimmer to see if it is a match. But if it is struggling, I will chuck on the heavier duty line, which I think is it's a 2.4, so which should fit. Might be, well, I think I've got a 2mm anyway as well. So anyway, we'll give it its best chance. But the thing that I liked about it is that you can actually swivel the head as well as telescope the handle, so you can get it into a pretty comfortable position to do the lawn edging, which you can't really do with a, well, at least with my Victor. So the motor is right up near your ear, so you do need to wear ear protection as you would whenever you're doing line trimming, but especially so with the Victor, because that motor is right near your ear and the exhaust is blowing straight into your face. And on a hot day, if you're doing a lot of lawn edging, as I said earlier, my forearm starts to get burnt because the motor body is resting on it. So, will this be a good substitute? I don't know. We'll find out soon. Okay. So we've got the guard on. I'll just leave that taped up for now. I know that's to kind of protect it. I have, however, removed this. I don't know what this is. It's like a guide. I guess I'll call it a guide. I haven't looked in the instruction manual, but I've removed that because I think that's just going to get in the way. And now we'll just set up the handle and position of everything. We have the guard on, and one neat feature of this line trimmer is that you can adjust the angle. So pressing this button on top, you can swivel that into a number of positions. And telescope the handle like so, and just secure it with this knob. So it's pretty neat. And then just lastly, the handle is also adjustable. So you've got the handle here, and that just lifts up this lever, and you can adjust it to a comfortable position, and then just secure that back in place. And you can also turn it on the pole as well. So again, for edging, you can flip it around upside down effectively so that you can edge along like so. Alright, a quick look at the spool before we get started. It's not a bump feed. Apparently it will auto feed the line as needed. Again, we'll test that out. But if you do need to replace the line, there's two tabs in red on either side, so you just press those in and this cap comes off, and then the spool is revealed. Again, there's only one line exit, so it's quite simple, so you don't need to worry about trying to roll on 2 lines and have them kind of feeding properly. Just have to wind one on, which is very simple. So we'll chuck that back in and put the cap back on. There we go. All right, let's get started. Alright, so we've tested the Ozito Line Trimmer. I've done the front and back yards, and here are my thoughts. I'll start with the negative, end on the positive, and then I'll tell you what I intend to do with it. As in, will I keep it or return it to Bunnings? So the first negative is the 1.6mm line. It's complete garbage. It is unsuitable for any type of line trimming. Not just my yard. I don't know how anyone would actually be able to use that line and get through their yard. I did 2/4 of a run of a path in my backyard and then it snapped, and it snaps clean off at the eyelet, so you can't pull out any more line because it's not a bump feed, it's an auto feed, so you need to remove the cover and then reset the line. So that was giving me the shits. I then installed this line and it did the same thing, 2.4mm line, and that too snapped off at the eyelet. This is, well, there's none left now, but it has a metal core, and I just couldn't believe that was snapping as well, so I thought, what's going on? Then I fitted this line. So this is a speed load line, and it's designed for the head that I have on my Victor petrol. So what I did was I was just trying everything to get the job done. So I just pulled some of this off. There we go. So I just pulled some of this off and fed this on, but the thing is, because the hole in the spool is so small, it's designed for a 1.6mm line where it kind of hooks in before you can wind it on. I had to use a Stanley knife and try and cut it down to a point so I could kind of get it in there, otherwise it just kept popping off. So anyway, that all being said, with this line on, it was actually very good. It was wearing down the line gradually, but it did not snap at any point in time, and I managed to finish the job, and it did really clean edges. And I kept going and did another pass around the retaining walls. So I'd already used the Victor and gone around edging the retaining walls and kind of drains and whatnot, but I just thought, well, might as well keep going, and just did another pass. So with this line, it did an okay job, but the line that comes with it, complete trash. Okay, the second and final negative is the fact there is only one line feeding out of the head. So normally with the line trimmer you will find two. I appreciate that it's probably designed for the overall unit, the motor and so forth. With two lines you would need a bigger head to accommodate two line feeds, which is fine, but it's something that I think would really benefit this unit. I think, in my opinion, just using it today, it could easily handle 2 line feeds and a thicker line. This motor has plenty of grunt. In fact, it feels better than the petrol. It was just with the 2.4mm line, it was making light work of the edging and the runners. So, you know, maybe it's a motor longevity thing. Maybe if I was using it for an extended period of time, the motor might start to struggle and get too hot. So I'm sure there's a reason behind it. Maybe also the cost factor. But yeah, it's just disappointing that they couldn't put a 2-line feed on that head. Alright, on to the positives. Well, there's actually quite a few. I'll start with the adjustability. So I really like the fact that you can adjust the handle, the pole with the telescopic adjustment here, and the angle of the head, so that you can switch from line trimming to lawn edging just by turning it over. So this can easily be swung around, and you've got the lever here so you can adjust the angle of the handle. So yeah, really comfortable to use and easy to find a comfortable position to use the line trimmer. And with the battery fitted, it's reasonably balanced. It is a little bit heavy down at the head end, but compared to a petrol line trimmer, for me it's no big deal because it's much lighter overall anyway. Is the runtime with that 4 amp hour battery. So again, I didn't use the one that came with it. I used one of my own, which was fully charged, and I managed to do the front and backyards and the front and backyards with the leaf blower on a single battery, single charge. So I'm pretty impressed with the battery. So I guess it's not a compliment of the unit as such. Well, I guess maybe it is because it didn't draw down the battery too much. But yeah, the fact that just with one 4 amp hour battery, I was able to do all of the, well, most of the line trimming and edging, and also all of the leaf blowing is pretty impressive. It's not really going to be appropriate for me because I can't use that line, but the auto feed does actually work. So I won't go into it too much, it's all in the instruction manual, but just by turning the unit on and off for a few seconds actually does extend more line out. It's not as quick as a bump feed because you need to do it a few times, and then once you hear the line clicking against the little blade, which ensures that the line isn't too long, you'll know that it's feeding out more line, but it actually works. Alright, final thoughts. What am I going to do with this? If it wasn't for that line situation, I'd probably keep it, because when I had that thicker line in, it was cutting through the grass like butter. It was actually quite impressive. It just means that to persevere with this unit, I'll need to modify the head to accept a larger line, which means drilling a larger hole to secure the larger line to then wind it on. But then that doesn't address the fact there's only one feed of line, which means that the line is working twice as hard as it is in my Victor to cut the same grass. So I'm going to sit on it for a week before I make a decision whether to keep or return it. At this point in time, I'm leaning towards a return, just because I think for a little bit extra I can get the next model up, Ozito or a Ryobi, and my mum has one of those 18-volt battery operator Ryobis, and it's very good. I'm just thinking maybe I should just spend a little bit more, not be so cheap, and just get something that doesn't come with any compromises, I suppose, because this bit here is a serious compromise. So yeah. Anyway, keen to hear your thoughts. Any comments or questions, leave them below and I'll get back to you. And as always, thanks for watching. Cheers.